Tauka is an ugly, disgusting loser who lives as a farmer in his pathetic small village. He loved his small radish patch and took great care of it. He cared for them so much that he even had some black stockings with him, just in case his radishes needed some extra protection. To Tauka, his radishes looked like beautifully shaped legs, and he cherished them deeply. As Tauka was dressing his radishes in stockings, his childhood friend Yuna came by and questioned what he was doing. Tauka confessed that he was putting stockings on his radishes because he saw them as beautiful and thick, just like he liked them. Yuna then pointed out that people their age, like Xian, were out there being heroes and protecting the world. Xian is the legendary hero who saved the village 3 months ago from demons that came out of Hell's Gate. Xian managed to seal the gate, but it was never completely closed, and now the demons were attacking again. Yuna wanted Tauka to stop being a pathetic loser and become a Chad, just like Xian. She wanted Tauka to help fight off the demons that were attacking the village. But Tauka preferred tending to his radish garden, finding comfort and safety in the beauty. Tauka then noticed Yuna's perfect legs and couldn't resist rushing over to dress them in stockings. Yuna complains about the world being in danger and demons running amok while he's doing his loser stuff. However, Tauka claims he is already prepared. He then shows her a trap he made to deal with any demons that might come. Yuna, frustrated by Tauka's behavior, was about to leave when a huge demon suddenly appeared. The demon attacked and went straight for Yuna. Tauka had an idea to divert the monster toward the giant trap he had set up. He started grilling some meat near the trap to attract the monster's attention. However, the demon ignored Tauka's dumb efforts, continuing its charge toward Yuna. Just when Yuna was in grave danger, a powerful attack came out of nowhere and defeated the giant monster. It was none other than the hero, Xian. Xian had sealed the Hell's Gate 3 years ago and had now returned to protect his hometown. Yuna always admired and adored Xian, especially since he had saved her life during the previous demon attack. She couldn't help but flirt with him. Tauka, who had liked Yuna for a long time, felt jealous and betrayed. Yuna saw him as a weird little brother with a radish obsession, while Xian was her knight in shining armor. Tauka spoke up, but Yuna immediately compared him to Xian, mocking him as weak and useless. Tauka felt even more jealous and unhappy. However, a loud roar suddenly frightened everyone. It turned out to be Xian's stomach growling loudly because he was hungry. Yuna took this opportunity to invite Xian to her home for a meal and chill. But Xian smelled the grilled meat Tauka had used to lure demons into his trap. In the end, the legendary hero became a pathetic loser who fell into another loser's trap. He landed on sharp bamboo spikes and was taken out instantly. The villagers were furious. They demanded that Tauka be reported and punished for setting the trap that led to Xian's death. Tauka used his skills of manipulation, convincing the villagers that no one would believe a hero like Xian could die like a loser in a trap. He shifted the blame to the villagers, making it seem like they had pressured Xian to leave the village and save the world. That night, the villagers buried Xian to avoid being blamed for his death. The next morning, Tauka woke up and looked in the mirror, but to his surprise, he saw Xian's face instead. He went to Yuna's house to seek answers, but she was shocked to see her beloved hero alive. Tauka decided to take advantage of the situation and tried to win Yuna's heart. Yuna agreed to invite Tauka inside. However, she was so obsessed with Xian that she annoyed Tauka, and he couldn't stand it. Yuna became frustrated and hit Tauka on the head with a broom, accidentally knocking out one of his eyes. She believed he was a monster. Tauka had to convince Yuna that he was himself, not Xian, the legendary loser. He shared their secret memories to prove his identity, and Yuna finally believed him. They heard a mysterious sound and found a girl named Anri, who had fallen into a trap like the one that had killed Xian. Anri explained that she had used magic to transform Tauka into Xian using necromancy. She chose Tauka to be the new hero, and his body was placed in a mobile coffin. Anri threatened to reveal what happened to Xian and get Tauka executed if he didn't agree to become the hero. Fearing for his life, Tauka accepted his new destiny and begged Anri for guidance. Anri asked Tauka to take on the mission of becoming the next hero, sealing the gates of hell and defeating the demons. Tauka, terrified of dying, agreed to the mission and asked Anri to accompany him. Yuna wanted to become a mage and also joined. The three of them headed to the city to prepare for their adventure. They went shopping for weapons, and Tauka managed to haggle a good deal for Yuna. They then sought food and lodging using Xian's reputation, but later decided to find a job at the guild to earn money. Yuna and Anri went to the guild to look for work, leaving Tauka with two sisters. The sisters noticed something strange about Tauka's appearance and called a man to test him. The man challenged Tauka to a duel, which Tauka couldn't refuse as it was a promise Xian had made. At first, Tauka was agile and dodged the man's attacks, but when he tried to strike back, his sword turned out to be fake. The man punched him, causing Tauka to lose an eye. Everyone realized he was a fake hero. Yuna and Anri found a job that paid 300,000. They came across Kyle, who used to be on the same team as Sion. They thought he was a good comrade, but he turned out to be more interested in Yuna's appearance and body. Back in town, Tauka was tied up and about to be executed by a firing squad for impersonating and possibly harming the real hero. Suddenly, Kyle, accompanied by Anri and Yuna, arrived at the scene. After listening to Anri's explanation of the situation, Kyle used his sword to free Tauka. He then handed Tauka the sacred sword, the same one Sion had used in his earlier quest to seal the gates of hell. Kyle told Tauka to envision the sword as a giant one, and to everyone's surprise, it immediately enlarged, leading them to believe that Tauka was the genuine hero. They decided to spare his life. After his rescue, they all returned to their inn and discovered that Tauka's magical power was too weak to control the sword. Tauka's mana was equivalent to a child at level 1. Kyle suggested that Tauka should become a hero, but Anri was hesitant, as it was believed that a hero had to be someone suitable for the role. Kyle threatened to kill Tauka if Anri didn't agree, explaining that he could kill Tauka in 2 ways: by destroying his head, where his consciousness resided, or by destroying his original body, which was kept in the coffin Anri carried with her. Anri was torn, but Kyle withdrew his threat upon seeing her determination. He decided to help Tauka defeat the demons and seal the gates of hell once and for all. That night, Tauka went to bed, trusting Anri and Kyle to save the world alongside him, knowing he wouldn't face the demons alone. However, he had second thoughts and realized he might lose his life in the process. He decided to sneak into Anri and Yuna's room while they were asleep to take possession of the mobile coffin, which contained his original body. When he saw the small coffin on Anri's chest, he couldn't resist the sight of Yuna's radish. Without much thought, he put stockings on her, a secret desire he'd had for a long time. After finishing, he left the room, feeling like a pathetic loser. But just as he left, Kyle entered the room, sat on top of Anri, and stared intently at the mobile coffin. It seemed he wanted to eliminate Tauka to take the hero's body for himself. However, when Kyle tried to stab the mobile coffin with a knife, it activated a protective magic that ejected him from the room. Kyle quickly fled the scene before Yuna and Anri woke up. Yuna was puzzled by the strange occurrence and ran straight to Tauka's room. The next day, the hero team set out into the forest to battle the demons. Tauka was still feeling the effects of Yuna's punishment. Tauka claimed that someone else had tried to steal Anri's coffin the previous night. He insisted he had only gone to the room to put stockings on Yuna's radish. Kyle agreed to investigate the intruder after their mission. Tauka suspected Kyle but couldn't voice his concerns because Kyle was strong. Tauka felt uneasy and wanted Anri to stay with him. He didn't want to be alone with Kyle. They reached a large castle where a flying monster attacked the team and other warriors on the same mission. The monster used magic to teleport and incapacitate several members, terrifying everyone. Some warriors, including Tauka, fled into the forest, but the monster blocked his path. Tauka managed to warn his team about the monster's magic before facing it head-on. The monster used a powerful jump to the sky and created a huge magic circle, but Kyle used his sword to defeat it. To prove their victory, they needed to take the monster's heart, a magic crystal. Kyle intended to give it to Yuna, but Tauka claimed it as his reward for warning about the monster's magic circle. However, they faced a horde of demons instead of a single monster. Tauka tried to pose as a hero and lead them into the castle to escape. Anri used her magic to control skeletons to fight the demons, making them stronger with the magic crystal. Kyle needed to assist Anri, as prolonged use of her power drained her mana. However, Tauka lost an arm due to poison from the demons, while Yuna lost her clothes when the monsters targeted her with the poison. Yuna felt embarrassed and quickly hid behind a rock when her clothes were gone. Tauka rushed over and claimed he had spare clothing for her, but it turned out to be a tiny swimsuit. Yuna reluctantly put it on. Just then, the demon that had poisoned them found them. Tauka, now able to control the sacred sword, used it to restrain the monster. He instructed Yuna to defeat it. However, the monster made inappropriate remarks, which played into Tauka's desires, so he asked Yuna to stop. Yuna used the magic crystal to increase her mana and superhuman strength to attack the monster, sending Tauka flying. Kyle appeared and knocked Yuna down. He wants to take over the hero's body. He immobilized Tauka with a sword-shaped magical spell. He attempted to finish Tauka, but Yuna woke up and sent Kyle flying with her strength. Still, Kyle remained confident he could defeat the three. He tries to make a deal with Anri so that he can take Sion's body. She refuses to, and he decides to reveal that Anri's Necromancer clan are actually demons who have magic crystals instead of hearts. Despite the shock, they decide to ignore the story. The group tries to escape from Kyle and Tauka uses the sword to create a fake wall. He then asks if Anri is truly a demon. She confirms that her Necromancer clan are demons who were locked behind the gates of hell. She explains that her clan managed to escape to the human world 3 years ago, but they were persecuted. She met Sion during that time, and he was the only person who would treat her like a human. She then tells Tauka to kill her if he doesn't believe her. However, he refuses to because he believes that she might grow up and become his type of girl. Still, Kyle finds them on a bridge. Tauka tries to trick him by offering the sacred sword. Kyle reached for the sword just to find out it was fake. The real sword was hidden, and Tauka revealed a pitfall trap, causing Kyle to fall into the river. Proud of his trickery, Tauka, Anri, and Yuna returned to the capital with many magic crystals to pay off their debts. It had been 10 days since they left the village to close the gates of hell, but there were some problems. They're broke and their previous adventures weakened Tauka's body so much that he became a dry skeleton. Tauka suggested transferring his soul back to his original body while they let Sion's body recover, and then he would switch back when Sion was healthy. Anri rejected this idea as it would cause more harm to Tauka than Sion. Tauka came up with Plan B. He used colorful berry juices to paint a face on a mask he made. With the mask in place, he visited the king, pretending to be Sion, and demanded payment for his heroics. However, the king reminded him that the real Sion had refused a reward 3 years ago, and was known for his humility. Instead, the king had a different proposal in mind. He unsheathed his sword while telling Tauka to marry the princess. Tauka didn't want to risk refusing the king's offer and agreed to marry Marguerite to avoid the king's anger. His plan was to save the world as soon as he had the money he needed. However, he hadn't saved anyone yet, let alone the world. He was more interested in going on a date with Marguerite, whom he expected to be intimidating like her gorilla father. To his surprise, Marguerite was stunningly beautiful. Tauka wondered if she had thighs like Yuna's. Since it was the mask festival in the city for 2 days, Marguerite wanted Tauka to accompany her. He agreed, realizing he wouldn't need a mask due to his unusual face. Meanwhile, Yuna and Anri were outside when Anri's mask got knocked off by a green-haired man named Dr. Leland. Inside the office, Leland welcomed them with tea and explained that he recognized Anri's abilities as a necromancer, but didn't discriminate against her as others in the capital did. He offered to help Anri and even provided soma drops to increase their mana, although they were expensive. Yuna and Anri couldn't afford them, so Leland suggested they participate in the demon hunt. To further help them, Leland asked to examine Anri's body for research, which initially worried Yuna. However, she learned that it was for medical research and not something inappropriate. Meanwhile, in Marguerite's room, Tauka was surprised when she devoured an enormous amount of food in seconds and still felt hungry, eventually falling to the floor. Outside the city, everyone prepared for the monster hunt as part of the festival. One of the 4 knights, Cerwela, known for her silver hair and sword techniques, demonstrated her ability to defeat giant monsters with ease. Yuna and Anri were unable to continue hunting demons with someone as skilled as Cerwela present. Colin and Negan offered to help Yuna and Anri get to the mountainside where the demons were gathering. Anri used a magic stone to immobilize the monsters temporarily, but they soon recovered and grabbed Yuna and Anri. Another guy emerged from the forest, revealing that Colin and Negan had tricked Yuna and Anri, capturing them. Meanwhile, Tauka watched as Marguerite enjoyed a hearty meal after her fainting spell. Marguerite was given a soma drop vial to regain her strength, but she continued to eat and gained weight. Marguerite's plump appearance caught Tauka's attention, and he couldn't help but admire her thighs. Marguerite felt slightly embarrassed but also flattered by Tauka's compliments. After their meal, Marguerite took Tauka to his room at the castle, and she left with Isaac. Tauka started worrying about Yuna and left to search for them. He ended up at the orphanage where Dr. Leland was taking care of Marguerite's condition. After they leave, Dr. Leland goes into a secret room. He puts on a mask and approaches a woman, who turns out to be Yuna. Leland revealed his evil plan, which involved capturing people, skinning them, and using necromancy to resurrect them as skeleton people, all in the name of appeasing demons. Yuna wanted to stop Leland's plan, but she was wary of his redhead demon's power. She decided to wait for the right moment to strike. Tauka, on the other hand, was looking forward to his date with Marguerite at the festival. Tauka joined a game where people shot apples on others' heads with arrows. Marguerite skillfully hit an apple with her arrow. However, something strange occurred. Within 3 seconds, all the apples disappeared into Marguerite's belly, and she returned to her plump state. Marguerite's plumpness resulted from her training with guns and bows, hoping that the true hero would return and ask for her hand in marriage. With Isaac's help, she mastered both weapons, but the intense training depleted her mana, making her constantly hungry. To cope with this, she needed large amounts of food and soma drops. Despite controlling her condition, she believed herself worthy of the hero. As Tauka and Marguerite conversed, she recalled watching fireworks with the true hero, Sion, 3 years ago. However, Tauka wasn't the real hero and didn't remember shocking Marguerite. Isaac and Serwela, who were secretly following them, noticed Marguerite's distress. Serwela recognized Tauka's practice of necromancy and declared the true hero gone forever, terrifying Marguerite. Tauka was interrogated, and in an attempt to save himself, he confessed that the true hero died chasing barbecue and fell into a pit. Despite being true, it was hard to believe. Serwela confirmed it, and both Isaac and Serwela sentenced Tauka to death for his role in the hero's demise. When they looked around, Marguerite was gone. Overwhelmed by shock, she ran to the streets where she encountered Dr. Leland, who pretended to help her. However, demons attacked the city, prompting Serwela and Isaac to confront the threat. Seizing the opportunity, Tauka decided to make a getaway, assuring that he would safely retrieve Marguerite. Dr. Leland had sinister intentions. He took Marguerite to a dark alley, menacingly threatening to harm her. Surrounded by numerous skeletons, Tauka's animated skeleton made a brief appearance but was swiftly defeated, leaving only Tauka's skeletal head. Just as Serwela and Isaac arrived, defeating some of the skeletons, Leland managed to escape with Marguerite. Isaac, skeptical of Tauka's story, suspected that he had orchestrated the entire situation. The group felt powerless as they struggled to locate the missing princess, but Tauka proposed a daring plan to rescue her. The plan involved restraining Isaac and Serwela, allowing Tauka to pose as one of the enemy soldiers since Leland's forces were comprised of skeletons. This covert strategy successfully led them to infiltrate the enemy's hideout. Isaac revealed that Marguerite was suffering from mess due to the pressure of her studies and rigorous training, causing her constant hunger. Feeling remorseful for pushing her too hard in training, Isaac acknowledged his role in the situation. Hearing the story, Tauka pointed fingers at Isaac for everything that happened to Marguerite. His words cut into Isaac's heart, making him feel really sad. Suddenly, a strong attack burst through the wall, pushing them away. It was Yuna, who had escaped from the doctor's hideout. She had caught one of the doctor's helpers, Colin, and wanted to know where Anri was. Colin didn't care about the doctor's plans. He just enjoyed seeing people suffer. Yuna, being stronger, tied him up and got the information they needed. Colin revealed where to find Anri. Yuna hurried into the room and found Anri sitting in a puddle of her own snort mucus, which was gross. Tauka and Yuna had to play rock, paper, scissors to decide who would help Anri. Meanwhile, Leland had Marguerite in a chair, getting ready to do a strange ritual to save her. His plan was to turn everyone present into obedient skeletons under his control. He believed this would make the world better, with everyone just being bones and no flesh to make them different from each other. He thought this would help demons and humans live together. Marguerite didn't like this idea at all. Isaac and Serwela were at the outer door, ready to help rescue Marguerite. Tauka, Yuna, and Anri were on a higher floor, waiting for the right moment to stop Leland. When Marguerite refused to be with Leland, who was confessing his love to her, Tauka descended and tried to punch him. But he forgot he was just a skeleton and not very strong. Right behind him, Yuna used a magic crystal to make herself stronger and punched Leland, sending him flying. Leland ordered his skeleton minions to attack, but Anri had taken control of them with her necromancy. Tauka picked up Leland's mask with a magic crystal, and when he put it on, everyone except himself looked like skeletons, and the girls looked like girls in bikinis. It was strange for the girls but fun for Tauka. Some big demons working for the doctor showed up to stop them. Leland had made friends with these demons to help him. Seeing this, the doctor tried to escape, but Yuna grabbed his head and pinned him down. Leland used a magic crystal to control dried up corpses and skeletons, becoming even more powerful. He attacked Marguerite, and Isaac shielded her. Tauka created a barrier to protect himself and his friends. Everyone managed to escape, leaving a trail of fake blood splatters using berry paint to confuse Leland. They ran into the forest to regroup and plan. They needed to get stronger before facing the evil doctor again. Isaac suggested using Marguerite's bodily fluids to boost their mana. This might include tears, nasal mucus, saliva, and even urine. Tauka waited for Marguerite to do it, as it could help increase his mana. It might sound weird, but it needed to be done. Marguerite agreed to cooperate. As Tauka was about to experience something that made him very happy, he suddenly stopped Marguerite. He realized that Dr. Leland wasn't actually a necromancer. He used the soma drops to boost his magical power, and the magic crystal to control skeletons. Anri revealed that real necromancers can see through the eyes of the things they control, so if Leland turned out to be a necromancer, he would have that power too. Tauka shared his plan with the team. They were going to set a trap for the doctor. First, Tauka sneaked up on Leland, but Leland had expected him, noticing one of his skeletons moving on its own. Tauka got caught, but it was all part of the plan. Anri and Yuna used their strength to take out the skeletons before Leland could use them against Tauka. The final step was to expose Leland's second magic crystal so Marguerite could shoot it with her arrow from a cliff. This would prove to Isaac that Marguerite knew what she was doing in her training. With Leland vulnerable, Yuna quickly defeated him. But then, a powerful attack came from the deep forests. A high-ranked demon had defeated Cirwela and brought her to Tauka's team. Without hesitation, the demon fired a deadly beam of light at Marguerite. Tauka swiftly pushed her out of the way, taking the hit and shattering his skull. Yuna bravely rushed forward to fight the demon and stall for time. Even though the demon was much stronger, Yuna fought fiercely to protect Marguerite, but the demon noticed that Anri, like him, was a necromancer possessing a demon's body. He tried to strangle Anri, even though his main target was Marguerite. Yuna continued to fight, determined to protect the princess and help Tauka. To save Tauka, Marguerite wanted to use one of her bodily fluids to help him regenerate, but Tauka stopped her. He believed he was just a regular person and couldn't be a hero to save the world. Then, he exhaled loudly as if it was his last breath. His skeleton body showed no emotion, leaving uncertainty about whether he was alive or dead, as skeletons can't express emotions. Marguerite began to cry, and her tears proved even more powerful than the Soma drops. They miraculously brought Tauka back to life, and he now looked just like Sion. Using a sacred sword, he transformed it into a gigantic radish and crushed the demon. The necromancer possessing the demon, Diego, revealed himself and was impressed to be defeated by the hero. He mentioned another necromancer named Friedrich with a snorty nose like Anri. The evil doctor, Leland, was imprisoned but kept muttering about skeletons due to his overdose of Soma drops. The orphanage, now under Isaac's care, ran better. Marguerite was cured thanks to her powerful tears. She gave her Soma drops to Tauka because she couldn't use her tears on him. When it was time to leave the capital, Tauka's final wish was to see Marguerite's thighs. She agreed, and he praised her thighs. She couldn't go with them because she had duties as a princess in the castle. Before they left, the king gave them a magical vehicle powered by magic crystals for their journey. Anri panicked, thinking she had to control the vehicle because Tauka and Yuna weren't very good at it. As they started their journey, Tauka read a letter from Marguerite, thanking them for their help. She mentioned a special gift in a box in the back of the vehicle. To their surprise, when they opened the box, they found Marguerite hiding inside it. She had convinced Isaac to help her sneak into the vehicle to join the hero on their journey. After some travel, they stopped by a roadside spring. Yuna noticed that Tauka's magical power was declining rapidly due to using magic to restore his body. But Tauka cared more about his radish garden at home. Anri arrived with a carrier pigeon carrying a letter. They were hungry and thought about eating the pigeon they had. But Marguerite stopped them because of the letter attached to it. The letter was from Cirwela, who had recovered from her fight with the high-ranking demon. She urged Tauka's group to head northeast to find clues about the necromancer behind Leland's actions. Cirwela suspected that this necromancer sought revenge for the massacre of their necromancer clan by humans 3 years ago when they were sealing the Hell's Gates. Tauka sent a letter back, refusing to go northeast and saying he was too busy focusing on the Hell's Gates. He didn't seem to have much compassion for Cirwela's mission and wanted to prevent more suffering from the demons. Yuna was surprised by Tauka's lack of concern for the situation, but he was determined to save people from the demons. They continued their journey and arrived at a house with a delicious meal prepared for them as a welcome. Even though she knew Tauka wasn't the hero, Princess Marguerite remained determined to marry him. She discussed her feelings with them, expressing her desire to be with Tauka even after the crisis. Anri, too, wished for a simple life with Tauka once everything was settled. During a lighthearted moment in the bath, Yuna, Anri, and Marguerite had a conversation about Tauka. Yuna playfully claimed to see Tauka as an annoying little brother, but Marguerite had different feelings. She asked Yuna if she would object to her marrying Tauka, leading to a disagreement. This upset Yuna, prompting her to storm off to the changing room. It seemed like Yuna might be slowly falling in love with Tauka without even realizing it. Tauka, curious about Yuna's feelings, went to the changing room to ask her about the stocking he had given her. Still upset, Yuna called him weird, unlike Sion. Tauka urged her to forget about Sion, emphasizing that he was dead. However, Yuna couldn't forget the man who had saved her life. She expressed her frustration to Tauka, and after her outburst, she left wearing just her underwear. A bad choice as zombies were roaming the area. Yuna got bitten on the shoulder and had to run away to escape the zombies. Tauka chased after her, concerned because she had left without putting on clothes. Unfortunately, the zombie bite injected a toxin into Yuna, and she started turning and feeling pain. A horde of zombies surrounded them, and Tauka, determined to protect Yuna, was ready to fight them using his sword to create a barrier. Yuna halted Tauka, pushing him away and insisting that he leave her behind to save himself. She stated that she wanted to leave the team anyway. As the zombies closed in on Tauka, prepared to attack, he spotted a person with red hair named Twin Spear Belarko on a rooftop. In a swift move, Belarko incapacitated the zombie horde with a single strike, but in the process, he dislocated his leg. While Belarko's arrival brought an end to the chaos, there were still zombies around, including in the building where Anri and Marguerite were resting. Anri swiftly crafted a weapon from a magic crystal and handed one to Marguerite for protection. After defeating the zombies, Tauka returned with Yuna, who was unconscious and on his shoulder. Worried about how the others would react, Tauka chose not to reveal Yuna's condition. Guided by Belarko, they reached a mansion in the town, surrounded by a sturdy wall that kept the zombies out. Inside, the people were in a state of panic, unsure of how to deal with the zombies outside. The arrival of the hero Tauka and his team helped calm the atmosphere. However, two of the evil doctor's henchmen, Colin and Negan, who had previously escaped from prison, were also there. Surprisingly, Tauka didn't recognize them and acted as if he were a stranger. Colin noticed Yuna, who appeared unconscious. Tauka told Colin that Yuna had a simple cold and that there was no need to check for wounds. However, Colin was certain that Yuna had been bitten by a zombie and insisted that anyone bitten needed to be killed. Determined to protect Yuna, Tauka punched Colin, sending him flying. The people around became worried, thinking that the hero had come not to save them but to harm them. Tauka raised his sword and declared that if anyone touched Yuna, he'd break their arms. Just as Tauka regained his composure, Yuna woke up and tried to bite him, indicating that her transformation was complete. Seeing the situation deteriorate, Anri used her magic to temporarily control Yuna's mind, preventing her from causing harm. This reassured the people somewhat, and they believed that their hero had put on a show to cheer them up. Yuna was taken to a room, and Tauka and Marguerite learned about what Anri had done to control Yuna. Anri gave them a magic crystal to show that Yuna's soul was still inside her body. Tauka and Marguerite placed their hands on the magic crystal to examine Yuna's condition. They found a strange object attached to Yuna's brain, likely the cause of her transformation into a zombie. However, this object was ancient magic from a necromancer, so they needed to find the person using it and destroy it. Tauka wanted to start their mission right away, but they knew it was dangerous to act at night, so they decided to wait a bit. To keep Yuna under control and prevent her from harming herself, Anri used a mind control spell. However, Tauka saw an opportunity to take over Yuna's body since Anri was preoccupied with controlling Yuna's mind. He knew it would be exhausting because he wasn't as powerful as Anri, but with the help of Soma drops, he was ready. Tauka used a mind control spell, successfully entering Yuna's body. In Yuna's body, Tauka admired her thighs and explored his new form. After their bath, Tauka returned to his room, looking forward to touching Yuna's thighs. However, there was a knock on the door. It was Anri and Marguerite, who had decided to sleep with Tauka as a precaution. With the two of them in his bed, Tauka found it hard to sleep, and his mind wandered to Marguerite's thighs. Feeling uncomfortable, Marguerite tied Tauka up to prevent any misbehavior. Outside, the zombie horde, aided by the demons, broke through the mansion's wall. Belarko, who had been guarding the wall, witnessed the breach. When Marguerite and Tauka woke up and tried to wake Anri, the zombies were already inside the mansion. Colin and Negan, along with other survivors, used their magic crystals to fend off the zombies. Once awake, Anri joined the fight. They met the mayor, who was surrounded by zombies. Colin and Negan pretended not to care, blaming the hero for their predicament. Just in time, Marguerite's archery skills saved the mayor. She used a bow powered by a magic crystal to immobilize a demon. They were then taken to the rooftop, where they found Belarko admiring the city overrun by zombies. In a mysterious room filled with weapons, the mayor fired a cannon to demonstrate its power. Tauka pointed out that the mansion was no longer safe due to the breached wall. The mayor went down on his knees and hands to recount the events leading to the zombie outbreak. Tauka's team deduced that a high-rank demon, even more powerful than the red-headed demon they encountered earlier, likely caused the zombie outbreak. They decided to use Anri's penetrating magic crystal to locate the three high-ranked demons controlling the zombies. However, the demons from below quickly infiltrated their location. Anri immobilized one of them, allowing Marguerite to shoot it through the head. The team left the room, and the demons pursued them. In the ensuing battle, Negan was defeated immediately. Tauka remained calm and devised an attack plan. But before they could fully prepare, the high-rank demons from below began to approach. Everyone ran to escape, with the demons in pursuit. Tauka, now in Yuna's body, picked up his sword and surprisingly defeated one of the controlled demons, leaving those around him astonished. After overcoming one demon, more continued to appear, all under the control of an unseen force. Colin and Negan fought valiantly, but the situation intensified as additional zombies joined the battle. The chaos reached a peak when a zombie bit Colin, prompting a retreat to another room. Despite the impending zombification from the bite, Colin, driven by determination, hurried to confront the high-rank demon using his electrocuting magic. As the female demon attempted to escape, Colin pursued her, only to be ensnared by a thin wire manipulated by Diego, a formidable necromancer. Upon discovering Diego alongside the female demon, the team learned of his vengeful quest against humans. Boasting numerous magic crystals, Diego believed he could overpower the heroes. With Tauka's power significantly inferior at level 40 compared to Diego's, rated at 40, the situation became challenging. Diego summoned a giant eye and manipulated the zombie horde to attack. In response, Tauka employed his sacred sword to create a containment box for the zombies. Seizing the opportunity, Diego prepared to strike Tauka but questioned the hero's inability to fully utilize the sacred sword. Tauka humorously explained his unique power, playfully dubbing it the Lush Eyes. Intrigued yet cautious, Diego suspected hidden threats within Tauka's Lush Eyes. Unbeknownst to Diego, the true potency of Tauka's desire for girls' thighs became evident as he unleashed a formidable attack against the necromancer. In the midst of this intense battle, Tauka grappled with the challenge of tapping into his unique power, the Lush Eyes, to counter Diego's overwhelming strength. Despite its potency against ordinary foes, Tauka's attack had minimal effect on someone of Diego's caliber. The mayor, arriving in a magical vehicle, played a crucial role by forcefully knocking Diego into the wall. Expressing his intention to bring in reinforcements, the mayor surprised everyone with the arrival of Yuna's sister, Millie, and her father, Fury, along with two other girls. Fury's peculiar habits, particularly irksome to Tauka, stemmed from his past expulsion as a Knight of Marguerites due to inappropriate behavior. Returning to the main adversary, Diego, who seemed unaffected by Tauka's earlier attack, found himself in a challenging position. Millie initiated an assault that forced Diego to defend himself. Yuna's father joined the fight, aided by the accompanying witch, Dorothy. Diego, unable to counterattack, summoned a winged demon for escape, leaving behind the controlled zombie horde, manipulated by Anri to prevent an attack. The following morning, Tauka, alongside Anri and Marguerite, had the mayor escort the townspeople to safety. They decided to follow the trail to Diego's lair, concluding that it was situated in Yuna and Tauka's hometown. Along the journey, they acquainted themselves with Yuna's younger sister, her father Fury, and the other two companions. To avoid raising suspicions about Yuna's situation, Tauka had to adopt the guise of Yuna since no one was aware of the body switch. As they discussed their journey, Yuna's younger sister expressed curiosity about whether Yuna was attempting to steal Tauka from her due to their strikingly similar way of speaking and acting. Tensions escalated when Millie disclosed the childhood marriage promise she had made with Tauka. In the midst of their conversation, their path was abruptly obstructed by a massive boulder, a manifestation of Diego's magic that effectively trapped them. Diego, backed by someone with the ability to control thousands of demons simultaneously, had created a formidable barrier to stop Tauka's team from escaping. Under Diego's command, a giant spider leaped down to attack the vehicle carrying Tauka's team, forcing them to change direction. The spider ascended onto the vehicle, which was then released onto the ground as part of an enemy trap, similar to the traps Tauka typically set for his foes. Fortunately, Tauka utilized his sacred sword to create a cushion, softening their fall inside the vehicle. Given that Tauka was in Yuna's body, it appeared as if Yuna was wielding the sacred sword like a hero. This surprised Millie, prompting her to inquire about it. Tauka fabricated a story, asserting that the hero could share the sword's ability with others, making it seem like Xion was sharing his sword with Yuna. Though initially skeptical, Millie was temporarily convinced, allowing the group to move forward through a thick fog. Millie attempted to disperse the fog with her sword but fell into another enemy trap. Her small size saved her from a wooden beam part of the trap. As the thick fog returned, more traps awaited them. Millie struggled to return to the defensive vehicle, and Tauka, along with the others, noticed their companions lying motionless on the ground due to the ambush. Sensing danger, Tauka transformed his sword into a protective shield. The enemies revealed themselves and demanded the sacred sword. Negotiations failed, leading Tauka to instruct Anri to handle the situation. It turned out to be a planned ruse, with Anri controlling a horde of demons and using fake blood. The ambush wasn't real, and the team was still alive. Regardless of whether they were allies or enemies, Tauka used his magic crystals to see through their clothes. This sparked envy in Princess Marguerite, seeing the other girls getting attention from Tauka. As they approached the enemy, Tauka recognized the leader as his master, Ethel, the one who had taught him the art of setting traps and survival in the wild. A flashback from 3.5 years ago unfolded when Tauka, orphaned and wandering, fell into a trap set by Ethel during his travels. Despite knowing he was facing imminent death, Tauka was impressed by the trap's craftsmanship. Fortunately, Ethel saved him and provided food. Persuaded by Tauka's persistence, she accepted him as her disciple. Ethel, initially human, underwent a change of heart and sought to aid the demons in seeking revenge against humans. She planned to depart with the sacred sword. In a confrontation, Tauka revealed a hidden needle that would electrocute her upon activation. Ethel, acknowledging defeat, returned the sacred sword, and they agreed that the loser would be subject to punishment. In this case, Ethel revealing her radish, a nod to Tauka's desires. With their vehicle out of commission, they had to rely on a demon allied with Ethel. During the journey, Fury and Ethel engaged in a conversation where Ethel mentioned Fury being on her list of people to defeat. The team eventually reached a magical repair shop, essential for fixing their vehicle. However, the elderly man inside initially refused to open the door for them. Ethel contemplated leaving, but Tauka intervened, convincing her to assist in picking the lock of the shop. Upon gaining entry, the elderly man immediately sensed the presence of a hero. It turned out he was none other than Sion's grandfather, who could sense his grandson's aura. Despite his blurry vision, the old man insisted on serving tea to the team, inadvertently pouring it onto their heads due to his impaired sight. Informing them that the vehicle was severely damaged and would take 2 days to repair, he left Tauka in a state of urgency, inquiring about the availability of another vehicle. Unfortunately, there was none, leaving the team concerned about reaching Diego in time. Marguerite, showcasing her princess talents, impressed the elderly man by reading an entire book on magic in just a few minutes. In response, he suggested she read the entire shelf of books to assist him in fixing the vehicle. Marguerite agreed, expressing confidence in finishing everything within an hour and a half. During Marguerite's reading time, Tauka took the opportunity to inquire about Millie's sacred sword and her journey as a hero. Millie explained that her sacred sword was artificial, created by top magicians in the world. Surprised, Tauka asked if it could seal the gateway to the demon world. Yuna's father clarified that it was impossible since it was only an artificial creation. Only the genuine sacred sword had that capability. Ethel added that the 4 infernal generals now commanded 1,000 demons, making it nearly impossible for Tauka's team to defeat them. Despite the challenges, Tauka remained determined. Excusing himself momentarily, Tauka went around a corner to check on Yuna's radish and indulge in a long-desired moment of putting on some stockings. However, his private moment was interrupted when another high-ranking demon approached him from behind. Suddenly, Tauka found himself in an unfamiliar place, a strange realm that felt like a journey back to his childhood. Uncertain if it was a memory or a dream, he took the chance to interact with Yuna and fulfill his desire to adorn her radish with stockings. In this peculiar setting, the people around him didn't react as they normally would. Tauka, usually scolded by Yuna for his gardening antics, took advantage of the situation, gleefully running around and putting stockings on all the women in town. Confessing his gardening cravings to Yuna, he boldly declared that she should allow him to garden whenever and wherever he pleased. However, the surreal atmosphere became apparent when he heard Yuna's voice scolding him from behind the bushes. To his surprise, he discovered an older version of Yuna, embarrassed by her natural attire. Relieved that Yuna was safe in this strange past, Tauka assisted her by covering her up with his stockings. Together, they realized they had both returned to this nostalgic but peculiar moment. Determined to escape this cycle, they ran towards the end of the town and encountered a completely white wall. Tauka, eager to explore, connected his body with Yuna's for safety. Attempting to pass through the wall, they were both unexpectedly pulled along, teleporting to a place where they used to play chess as children. Despite reliving cherished memories, they couldn't break free from the repeating cycle. Teleporting once more, they found themselves right before the heartbreaking moment of Tauka's mother's death. Despite Tauka's hope to save her this time, he was once again too late. Tauka's mother handed him a letter from Yuna, delivered by her grandmother, expressing love for her son before passing away. Tauka was left devastated by the familiar tragedy. Continuing through a mountain pass, they witnessed a brutal battlefield and questioned whether their actions in the past could impact their present or future. As they pondered, they spotted the gateway to the demon world opening, allowing a horde of demons to flood into their world. Teleporting once more, they landed in an abandoned forest, leaving Yuna's scarf behind. Tauka, deciding to attend to a personal matter, revealed a wound on his stomach to Yuna. He assured her not to worry, explaining it was just an injury from a demon's attack. Despite Yuna being in a ghostly form due to the zombie bite, she had an active mind. Overhearing events from 3 years ago during their battle with the high-ranked demon, she realized that Tauka, not Xion, had truly saved her and let Xion take the glory. Their emotional moment was interrupted by the appearance of a terrifying high-ranked demon. It informed them that in the real world, Tauka was sleeping soundly next to it, and the realm they were in was a collection of Tauka's beautiful memories. In a hurry, Tauka grabbed Yuna's hand, and they ran towards the moment when Tauka was at his strongest, back to the time when the real hero, Xion, had appeared, and the day he was about to be punished. In this weakened memory world, everyone faced challenges. Despite the difficulties, Tauka successfully transported himself to the day when he possessed the hero's strength. However, in this demon-controlled world, the demon had the ability to read Tauka's thoughts and predict his moves. Tauka devised a plan to cast aside his brain for the fight, but the demon swiftly struck him in the abdomen. Witnessing Tauka in danger, Yuna rushed to his rescue. As this was Tauka's soul world, the demon couldn't predict Yuna's movements. Climbing onto Tauka's back, Yuna assisted him in controlling the sacred sword. Tauka, focusing on thoughts of radishes to make his attacks unpredictable, combined forces with Yuna to transform the sacred sword into a gigantic radish wrapped in stockings. Together, they defeated the demon by crushing it. Tauka and Yuna successfully escaped the world of memories. Back in the real world, Anri employed her magic to bring Tauka back into his body, which currently took on Sion's form. Although Yuna's soul remained close to him, and they had developed a mental bond, no one except Tauka could see Yuna. At the castle, Sir Whaler received Tauka's letter about going on her own and felt anger. However, one of the 4 knights informed her that they were already ahead with their order of magic warriors. Tauka informed his team that Yuna was present with them in spirit form. Anri utilized the magic crystal to reveal Yuna's spirit, which, at this point, remained unclothed. Concerned about Yuna potentially turning into a zombie, Tauka's team securely bound her body and placed her in the vehicle. Meanwhile, Diego and Friedrich found themselves ambushed by magic warriors sent by one of the 4 knights who had been monitoring them. The warriors attempted to behead Diego, but his rapid regeneration surprised them. In response, Diego launched a counterattack, and one of the warriors fell victim to Diego's controlled severed arm, a result of his necromancy. Friedrich faced off against a female warrior, using a teleportation gate to reverse her attack. Under Friedrich's threat, she pleaded for mercy. Diego gathered his limbs, summoning one of the 4 infernal generals to attack the warriors. In a strategic move, Diego inhabited the demon and concealed his body in a mobile coffin, similar to how Tauka had inhabited Sion's body. Diego, now in control of the demon, annihilated all the warriors. The gruesome spectacle was witnessed by the knights and their king in the capital, using a spell that allowed the knight to see through his subordinate's eyes. The knight, feeling defeated by the powerful necromancers, considered himself a failure. Horrified by the unfolding events, the king decided to put an end to the situation, preparing to send all his knights into action. At that crucial moment, the mayor and Belarco arrived at the castle, having traveled from the zombie-infested town. The mayor, reflecting on his past selfishness, informed the king about the dire zombie situation and realized that his people still cared about him. Upon witnessing the townspeople transformed into zombies, the mayor experienced a profound realization about his care for his people. Filled with a genuine desire to save them, he fervently appealed to the king for assistance. Supported by Berlacco and their horse, the mayor's heartfelt plea moved the king to deploy his knights, seeing an opportunity to put an end to the chaos. Recognizing that the knights alone might not be sufficient to combat the necromancers, Sir Whaler proposed cooperation and suggested harnessing Kyle's powers to enhance their chances. With Kyle's strength secured, they embarked on a direct journey to the enemy's lair aboard a massive ship. Meanwhile, on Tauka's side, as they traveled, Tauka and Fury crossed paths again. To address the odd situation of Yuna being bound in the vehicle, Tauka confided the truth to Fury. Despite feeling responsible for leaving Yuna behind during quests with Sion, Fury chose understanding over blame. The reconciliation between Fury and Tauka marked a resolution of their past differences. The blind old man from the magic repair shop, perceiving Yuna's spirit, approached Tauka and offered her some clothing. As the team bid farewell to the insightful old man, he revealed his ability to see everyone's soul and spirit despite his physical blindness. As the team prepared to resume their journey, Ethel attempted to dissuade Tauka from continuing, but his determination remained unshaken. Acknowledging that Ethel had fulfilled her part of the bargain, Tauka abruptly left her, agreeing that they were now adversaries. Surprising Ethel, Tauka intentionally goaded her into chasing after the vehicle. Using his sword, he skillfully bound her, adding a touch of embarrassment to make her join the team. This maneuver was part of Tauka's plan, ensuring Ethel's collaboration. During the journey, Millie and Tauka engaged in a conversation about Millie's aspirations as a legendary hero. Millie's desire to bring peace to the world, allowing them to return to carefree play, deeply resonated with Tauka, motivating him. Ethel informed them of their proximity to the enemy's gate, prompting the team to prepare for infiltration. To shield themselves from enemy fire, Tauka transformed the sacred sword into a protective shield for the vehicle. Upon entering the enemy's lair, a dramatic twist unfolded as Ethel appeared to betray the team by seemingly stabbing Tauka in the head. Alongside other demons, she carried his body inside. However, the true plan involved Tauka and Yuna's souls infiltrating through a water drainage system. It was revealed that Sion's body was merely an illusion crafted by Anri to deceive the demons. Tauka's consciousness had returned to his original body. However, the transition felt unfamiliar and slowed Tauka's movements, highlighting the fact that his body had been dormant in the mobile coffin for too long. Anri decided to join Tauka and Yuna's soul, forming a trio for their continued journey. To control two patrolling demons, they used possession, leaving Tauka's real body in a mobile coffin while taking Anri's body as a hostage. Yuna, existing in spirit form, remained unseen except by Tauka and Anri. Attempting to command the other demons to fight the captured hero, Tauka's orders were rendered ineffective by the presence of a higher-ranking demon. In a bizarre strategy, he adorned red scarves on the demons' heads to mimic high-ranked demons, transforming their appearance. Stripping the clothes off 3 female demons among them, Tauka enacted a strange act, claiming their bodies were more enjoyable than the torture the demons had planned. This peculiar act had an unexpected impact, making the demons reconsider the beauty of life. Tauka's demon gained popularity, attracting the attention of other demons interested in talking about their queen. Tauka persuaded the demons to lead them to the queen, who turned out to be the well-endowed high-ranked demon encountered earlier in the zombie-infested town. Upon meeting the queen, Tauka engaged her in a conversation about their shared dream of a peaceful world. He spoke of an ideal existence without killing, emphasizing only happiness. While the queen desired such a world, the tyranny imposed by Diego deterred her, leaving both demons and even the infernal generals under his oppressive influence. To showcase his vision, Tauka invited the queen to touch his head and witness the ideal world in his mind. However, it was a clever ploy, and as she did, Tauka unleashed pre-prepared magic, causing her to collapse. When Anri returned to her body, leaving the demon's form, Tauka attempted to strike the queen with his sword. Unexpectedly, a black hole emerged beneath them, sucking the queen and the demon into it. Anri swiftly saved Tauka from being consumed by quickly transferring him back to his body. However, another black hole appeared, revealing the emergence of a necromancer, Anri's older brother Friedrich. He picked up the fallen sacred sword from the floor. While outside, tending to the low-ranking demons, poison sprayed Millie, burning off her clothes and leaving her all natural. The demons, seemingly intrigued, admired her exposed form. Recognizing the demons' captivation by their attractive thighs and chests, Marguerite, determined to distract the horde, decided to follow suit and took off her clothes. Inside, Anri introduced her elder brother to Tauka, prompting immediate questions about why Anri was part of the hero team. Friedrich questioned whether Anri had forgotten the actions of humans when the gate opened. Anri responded, emphasizing that the events of 3 years ago were in the past, and their focus should be on building a brighter future. Tauka concurred, expressing understanding that losing loved ones without cause could fuel a desire for revenge, but highlighted the collateral damage of harming innocent people in the process. Friedrich revealed that revenge was a means to gather allies. He, along with Diego and other necromancers, aimed to overthrow the ruling noble and royal classes, allowing the necromancers to take control and establish a peaceful world. While the goal appeared noble, Tauka pointed out the morally questionable means of exploiting and killing innocent creatures. Tauka informed Friedrich that Anri was stubborn, making it clear that convincing her to join his cause would be challenging. Friedrich attempted to sway Anri, but she firmly refused, citing her promise to Tauka to work together in saving the world. Anri listed Tauka's admirable qualities, boosting his ego and reinforcing her commitment to their shared cause. As they continued their heated discussion, Diego dramatically burst through a wall, accompanied by one of the giant infernal general demons. Taking command, Diego directed the demon to devour the still unconscious queen, intensifying the fear among the low-ranking demons present. Witnessing this horrifying act, Tauka felt an urgent need to escape with Anri and Yuna, recognizing their inability to match Diego's power. However, Diego blocked their path, setting the stage for a confrontation. Diego, seeking another round of combat with Tauka, challenged him to a duel, referencing their previous inconclusive fight. However, Tauka found himself unarmed as Friedrich had taken his sword. Diego instructed Friedrich to return the sword, and they agreed to face off at the sacrificial tower. Merging with the giant demon, Diego launched an immediate attack on Tauka. Despite Tauka's attempt to counter with the sword, Diego's speed proved overwhelming. Caught off guard, Tauka found himself immobilized by Diego's additional attack. In a display of his cunning nature, Tauka relied on one of his favorite tactics, setting a trap to send Diego plummeting down. At the base of the fall, Tauka's mentor, Ethel, and some demons awaited, armed with lightning magic to strike at Diego. Utilizing her necromancy, Ethel took control of Sion's body and sent it to Tauka. Sion's body was dispatched to a crucial moment in time when Friedrich intended to intervene in the fight. Instead, Sion's body collided with Friedrich, sending him flying. With Ethel's guidance, Tauka quickly transferred his consciousness back into Sion's body, ready to resume the battle against Diego. Empowered by another dose of Soma drops, Tauka's magical prowess surged to level 9. With the giant sacred sword shaped like a radish, he thrust it into the immobilized Diego, seemingly achieving victory. Yet, the elation was short-lived as the sacred sword unexpectedly shattered into two, and Tauka's arm was severed. Thankfully, Tauka's zombified nature allowed his arm to regrow. It dawned on him that Diego had intentionally fallen into the trap to analyze his abilities. Diego demonstrated the ability to absorb the lightning power Ethel had used earlier, converting it into magic through a spatial gateway. Attempts to attack Diego proved futile due to his formidable defense. Tauka, quick on his feet, struck a nearby pillar, crashing it into Diego. Seizing this moment, Tauka and his team regrouped for an urgent meeting to devise a strategy against the formidable opponent. Tauka learned from past events that splitting the sacred sword into multiple branches had been effective against Diego. Crafting a plan based on this knowledge, Marguerite shot an arrow into Diego's body from her vantage point. Though Diego quickly recovered, Tauka observed that Diego only defended himself rationally. Recognizing the opening, Tauka planted the sacred sword in the ground and executed an attack. Despite their efforts, Diego's vigilant defense thwarted their attempts. Yuna's soul continued to support Tauka from above, targeting Diego's weak points. However, Diego's swift regeneration and counters posed a significant challenge. The key to victory lay in exploiting the weakness on Diego's head, yet he adeptly guarded that vulnerable area. Defeating him would demand a more intricate and refined approach. In a desperate bid to summon his remaining strength for a final strike, Tauka faced a devastating setback as the effects of the Soma drops wore off, leaving him weakened. Despite his diminished state, he endeavored to channel his remaining magical power, attempting to thrust the sacred sword at Diego's vulnerability. However, his efforts fell short, prompting Diego to retaliate with a powerful kick that sent Tauka hurtling into a wall. Lying motionless, Tauka clutched the last vial of Soma drops in his hand. Despite bleeding from the excessive use of the magical elixir, he displayed unwavering bravery by consuming the final vial. Alas, the consequences of excessive consumption soon manifested. Immediately after drinking it, Tauka collapsed, blood pouring from his mouth. Tauka needed time to recover, but Kyle arrived, fueled by determination to stop Diego and seek revenge against Tauka. After Kyle joined the battle, he swiftly severed one of Diego's arms and encouraged him to take a look around at the kingdom. Using an eye summoned for observation, Diego realized that the demon horde had been defeated by the reinforcements, including Cerwela and Berlocco. Anri was initially against Kyle's presence, given his previous desire to kill them. However, Kyle underwent a drastic change in demeanor, speaking sweetly to Anri and claiming to have reconsidered his actions. Anri, somewhat gullible, believed Kyle, even though his initial statement upon arrival was about killing Tauka. Feeling cornered, Diego absorbed the demon corpses around him and launched a potent attack against Kyle. Although Kyle managed to block it, his clothes were blown away in the process. On Tauka's side, he found himself in a dreamlike state as everything around him blurred. He had entered the world of the sacred sword, encountering the hero Sion. Sion thanked Tauka, although Tauka was only pretending, for protecting the people and Anri. Sion expressed satisfaction that the sword had found a worthy successor. Despite not fully understanding, Tauka remained silent, fearing Sion's judgment. In a hurry to evade potential judgment, Tauka ran until he reached a mirror displaying named women wearing stockings, similar to Tauka's preference. Sion explained that he didn't precisely know why the mirror was there but suggested it was a reward for those dedicated to protecting humanity. Feeling like a failure for not saving Yuna and believing he was dead, Tauka wondered how he could claim his reward. Sion clarified that Tauka wasn't dead yet. Humans have 3 lives, with the spirit in the head, the soul in the heart, and the body that carries them. Currently, Tauka still had his spirit, while his body and soul were in the mobile coffin. Tauka's entry into this realm between life and death was triggered by the exhaustion of Sion's body, driven by Tauka's desperate need to save the world. Sion explained that the sacred sword had misunderstood Tauka's mana level during a surge when Marguerite cried into his mouth. Sion guided Tauka on the way out but reminded him that he could choose to stay in that world if he found the outside world too harsh. However, Tauka opted to return because he had a promise to fulfill, saving Yuna, whose thighs were the only missing element in the sacred sword world, making it not worth staying. Outside, Yuna was crying and made a promise that if Tauka could come back to life, she would allow him to put as many stockings on her thighs as possible and let him stroke them over 100 times. As Yuna finished speaking, Tauka returned from the sacred sword world with renewed vitality. He requested Anri to release his body from the mobile coffin and planted the sacred sword into the ground. Utilizing his unique technique, Tauka's body, inhabited by Sion in spirit form, launched a surprise attack on Diego. Diego, bewildered, couldn't believe what had just happened and kept mumbling. Sion proceeded to dismember Diego's body, piece by piece, before leaping up and shattering the magic crystal on Diego's head. Diego, on the verge of using his ultimate move, was interrupted by Kyle. Tauka seized this opportunity and rushed to grab the magic crystal. With the sacred sword in hand, he thrust the blade straight into Diego's head, causing him to disintegrate just before Yuna could transform into a demon. With Diego defeated, Yuna successfully returned to her normal self. Diego attempted to escape by teleporting into the forest, still harboring hopes of someday getting revenge on Tauka. However, the 2 demons who saw him when he ate their queen immediately tore him apart, sealing his fate. Tauka was now officially recognized as a hero and was warmly welcomed by everyone, especially the girls who couldn't get enough of him. Yuna, feeling jealous, suddenly took Tauka away by the hand to fulfill her promise of 100 thigh strokes. That night, as Tauka eagerly anticipated Yuna's thighs in her natural form, he realized that Yuna had a different idea. She had a bikini on, not exactly what he had hoped for. When he asked, Yuna told Tauka to take off the bikini if that's what he wanted and do, basically, what he desired with her. Tauka couldn't believe this was happening. He was about to reach out and start caressing those thighs, but suddenly remembered that Sion, who was back in the sacred sword world, was always watching over him as promised. To prevent Sion from witnessing his actions, Tauka tossed the sacred sword outside. Yuna hurriedly left the scene upon hearing that Sion was watching and looking at her all natural. In the other world, Sion had a nosebleed due to Yuna's beautiful body. The next day, Sion, temporarily out of the sword, guided the new hero and the team on the next steps of their journey. They couldn't confront the Hell's Gate yet, as they were too weak to face the demon horde waiting there. Their top priority was to enhance their magical powers and increase their mana, avoiding the dangerous Soma drops in the process. Increasing their magical powers and sealing the gateway to Hell promised to be an exciting journey, and they set off to find the sage who would assist them on this quest with the help of Kyle and a witch named Dorothy. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.